you are. Here we are back for the Parent Pivot podcast. I'm sorry,
Hello.
we're just anything before we click the record button. We're recording a little later than we normally do, and we're just like going, we're tired, we want to move on, and anyway, so
It's been a long week. I had surgery a week ago,
yeah,
and so I've been in recovery. So I'm not at my best.
yes. Has anybody been taking care of you
And
at
you
all?
have been taking amazing care of me.
Oh.
Yes. So anyway, yeah.
DoorDash comes in handy when you're not feeling well.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, so we're glad to be back within the Parent Pivot podcast, and we're excited about something coming up next month, which I'm going to promo first before we get into today's subject. And if you are a grandparent, there's a grandparenting summit being put on by Legacy Coalition, and Julie and I have been invited to do a breakout session.
Yes.
And it's called the Balancing Act. So if you have elderly parents you're caring for, or and adult children at the same time, we're going to be speaking on that. We have 2 sessions going on. Plus, there will be a recorded one that we'll do. So if you don't make it to the summit, which is in Birmingham, Alabama, at Shade Mountain Church. I don't know if it's a Baptist church or not. There will be online. You can watch it online too, as well.
I just want to clarify.
Yes.
It's not that you're taking care of your adult children.
Right.
It's that you have adult children and you're taking care of your aging parents.
There's a lot going on.
There's
in other words,
a lot of relationship things happening.
right. So
Yeah.
we have a magic pill that we're going to deliver that you can just swallow and all your problems go away.
I wish that
Yeah.
would be really great.
So anyway, we'll put that in the show notes and things. And anyway, we're back for the second podcast of the 2025 year, and some stuff has been coming up. We get a lot of things off of TikTok. We do not know how to use TikTok. Our
And
daughter,
it's going away next weekend.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all you TikTokers out there, we might be missing you. Anyway, there's a conversation. One of our most popular things going on. Our daughter, who's our social media manager and things, she says, "Mom and Dad, you've got over almost 11,000 hits on this one subject that keeps coming up, and that is about
Your adult children not speaking with you
right."
and not having a relationship. So it's an issue that keeps coming up. And it's one of those things that's so tough because every situation is different. The reason why it's happening is different for everybody. And there is no A plus B equals C.
No, and sometimes parents are cutting off relationship, or adult kids are cutting off relationships. So we're kind of hearing from both, and we want to help. We want to help bring the both sides together.
Yeah. And
Somehow,
the
but-
hardest thing is, I would say, that you've always got to go back to the truth. And the truth is you can't get anywhere without humility.
Right.
And so a humble response, a humble attitude, the ability, which we've said 500 million times, to look at yourself, own your stuff, all of that comes into play. With that, I have to say that if your child is choosing to not speak to you, it may be the more you go toward them, and this isn't in every case, but the more you go toward them, they may be pulling back even more.
Yeah.
So they may just need space.
Space.
And
We should have come up with an acronym for space.
that would take me a really long time to do.
Well, you could say shut your mouth. Patience. Awareness.
Keep going, huh?
Confession, and somehow we have to get to humility. Eagerly wait for them to come to you. No, not that would be right. Not eagerly.
Yeah.
Look at us. Think of something on the fly. Anyway, space.
Educate yourself.
Educate. There you go.
Educate yourself. Yeah. And the C also, I would say, create, and we talked about this last week, create a support group, create new friendships, create kind of covers a plethora of things. So, but just be aware that if somebody's not wanting to talk to you, and it doesn't even have to be your child, they may need space. We had a little tiff today.
We did.
And I am the type that doesn't like it when Steve needs space. I'm more like, no, talk about this with me.
Yeah, she wants it. She wants it fleshed out right then and there.
Yeah. And so when he says he wants space, it stirs up a lot in me. And, but that doesn't negate the fact that he needs space.
Well, and I didn't used to do this, so I'm getting better at it. Julie would always ask me. I mean, she immediately knows what's going on, and she wants to take care of it right then and there. And there were times when I'd say, I don't know what's going on in here.
Right.
And you'd say, okay, how long do you need? And I'm like, tomorrow? She'd go, tomorrow? So I've actually gotten better. So now this was like in the moment, I'm like going, yeah, I need some space just to process. And she wanted to keep talking. So
yeah. So all that to say is it doesn't matter if it's your child or someone else. If somebody needs space, you have to listen because they need space.
Well, yes, and we actually interviewed our daughter-in-law. We won't go into the subject matter about that. We actually took her. Yeah, she took some time, and we interviewed her. But basically, she was having a situation, and she needed space, and that space was 4 years.
Yeah.
I even Googled it, y'all, so you don't have to go to the Google page. But I Googled on average, when there's parents and adult children are not speaking to each other, everybody wants to know, like, well, how long does that take? And believe it or not, on average, it says about 90 to 95% of them will come back and talk to you again. Now that that's what they were saying. So I'm like, okay, eventually, but the average was 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, and that, as a parent, I can't even imagine, honestly. That would seem like an eternity.
It feels like a punishment, but we haven't had to go that long, and things. And we even have some friends who are still going through it right now. They have 4 kids, and one of them is still not talking to them, and even birthed another grandchild that they still haven't met. So,
and I actually know several couples like that.
Yeah, so our hearts go out to you. It's not like we're sitting there saying just chill, and we don't want to not belittle this, but just be trite about it. But that's hard. It definitely is hard. But we have to stay out of the fix it mode.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to fix it, and if it's a faith related thing, like they've walked away from the faith, okay, can you still love them?
Yeah.
Can you still love your child? No matter what faith they choose, or if they don't choose your
lifestyle.
faith or lifestyle, can you love them because they're your kid?
Yeah.
No matter what, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for acceptance, that you love them unconditionally, and then zip.
Yeah.
Everything else we're not commenting on. We're not going to try to change them.
But
you know what? You have a prayer closet. You can go into your prayer closet and continue to pray.
Yeah.
But when it comes to talking to them about faith, they know what you believe. We've said that over and over and over on the podcast. Yeah. So it's kind of releasing. And the hard part is surrender. So as you can see, if you're on the YouTube cast, our hands are up, palms up, yes. And this is where I direct you to the Pause app, the 1 Minute Pause app by Wild at Heart and John Eldredge, because every day, especially if you go through the 30-day book that he has called Resilient, every day you're praying the prayer of benevolent detachment. Lord, I give everyone and everything to you, and you have to genuinely do that. He's created them. They're created in his image. They're his kids first before they're ours. They just came through our DNA. They're our family. I get that. But if I don't do that every day and go, I have no freedom, I won't have any peace or freedom in my heart, and things. And so I really, 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 really strongly suggest you downloading that. We'll put that in the show notes again. We mentioned that quite a bit, but you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah. And that's really the bottom line, I think, that we go back to is, other than humility, the bottom line is that you also need some sort of support.
Right.
You need something. So if you find yourself in this same cycle over and over and over and over again, and you're asking the same question over and over again, the answer isn't there. So what you are going to need to do is get some support around you with people that are going through the same thing, or a therapist who can help you walk through it, that can give you some support that you need.
And I would also say, I'm going to use the word overthink. We can become something that can become, especially for type A's like me, it's something that's always on my heart and always on my mind because they're my child. Okay. But how can I have a life away from that issue? I'm not saying forget about them. I'm not saying don't pray about them. But if my mind is just constantly bringing it up, it's going to drive me nuts. Even if I do have a support group.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you get into the spiritual discipline of bringing all thoughts into captivity.
Right.
And that is a discipline. It isn't something that magically happens. It is learning to, I have this thought, I'm going to pray for that person. I have this thought, I'm going to release it. I have this thought, so that you are doing the same thing all over and over again. Oftentimes we get ourselves stuck in a jam. With some kind of addiction because we associate the let's say eating ice cream, watching TV every night.
Eating ice cream is an addiction?
Well, it can
I
be.
am in
But
trouble.
let's say that's your thing, that when the TV goes on at night, that you suddenly want to eat ice cream.
Especially Reese's peanut butter ice cream. Sorry.
It's because you have created a situation of Pavlov's dog where you are, I do this, and so therefore I want this. So learning to bring thoughts into captivity is the same thing.
Right.
It's, I think this, so I do this action.
Right.
I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. So you are constantly doing that, and pretty soon you become good at it.
Okay, so let me ask this question. I'm going to pretend I'm in the audience and I'm listening to Dr. Julia.
I'm not a doctor.
She's got all the gifts and talents of being one. She just doesn't want to do the work.
That isn't true. I just don't want to do it for 6 years.
She wants to do the work, but not for 6 years. Okay, but you have the ability. Here's my point. I'm like going, okay, I haven't heard from my adult child for a year, maybe 2. Is there anything I could do? I totally get what you're saying. I want to own my stuff. I've got a humble heart. And things like that. Is there anything you could suggest? And where I'm going down the road is like, hey, is there a timeline to every 3 months, every 6 months, once a year? Can I write them a letter? And maybe we don't know if they're reading them or not, but or send them something that's all about you wanting to reestablish. What I would do is I would want to reestablish relationship by saying, hey, could you please tell me? Maybe I don't know. Can you tell me what's going on? I'd love to hear it. I know that I've made my mistakes and I've probably wounded you and hurt you beyond what I've ever thought and heard, and that's not ever been my intent. So I want to own that. Am I going down? You're giving me that look like, don't do that. I'm just thinking because
you know what, like I said, every situation is different. And every child's going to respond differently. And you've got to realize we live, and parents, please know this, your kids are living in a culture that really family doesn't come first. They come first. Their emotions come first. So they're being told over and over again, just cut people off. You heard this after the election. If you can't sit with somebody who voted for so-and-so, then just don't go to Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, you're putting that thing, politics, a person ahead of a family relationship. Yeah. And this is what they're being inundated with. So the only thing that you have is really to be quiet as much as possible and let them know that you are there for them.
Okay, so that's
when life doesn't go well.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Is there any scenario that you can think of that I could somehow communicate some way to them to let them know I'm here and ready to listen and not defend or get defensive or try to fix or anything, but just feel your hurt with you, cry with you. And I just want to hear that because I still love you unconditionally, no matter what, who you've decided to be, or what. Is there any scenario that you're thinking of? Or are you just saying just sit back and wait for them to contact you?
I think there is always a place for that.
Okay.
But again, you've got to know your kid enough to know, is that going to really make them more mad and push them further away?
Okay.
That's the hard part. If I'm going in this desperation of please talk to me, please talk to me, please talk to me, I'm making it about me.
Correct.
Now, if my child has said to me, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want anything to do with you, and in turn, I say, I understand. Please let me know if there's anything that I can do to make something right. I'm always here for you no matter what. For as long as it takes, I am here waiting. That's all I can think of.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I could sit down and write a long letter and explain myself and apologize. But again, I'm making it about me. And my hunch is that your child, for whatever reason, already thinks it's been about you.
Right.
So
what I hear you saying is don't put any time limits or parameters on that.
no, it may be appropriate to send them Christmas presents or a birthday present and to just put in there a loving note saying, I love you. I'm thinking about you. I hope you have a great day. I'm always here for you.
Or happy Father's Day, happy Mother's Day.
Any of those things.
Yeah.
Now, you may have a situation, and I know someone like this, where they've tried this. They've tried to send things to their grandchild, whatever, and it's not given to them because they so badly want to cut off this relationship that they won't even allow their kids to take presents from grandma and grandpa or anything like that. So there are so many scenarios that, again, I just, there is no formula.
Right.
There is no this will work every time.
Right.
And if anybody ever tells you this will work every time, don't believe them, because that's just not the case.
Right. And, we have recommended, if things are really tough, you can, go to a therapist or whatever.
Yeah.
But one thing that we just started offering this year that we want to make known to all of our podcast listeners is we want to be able to walk with you and help just in a relationship ways and things. And so we want to offer to our podcast listening audience, anybody who is a podcast listening person out there listening, saying, hey, we're not talking about, therapy costs nowadays anywhere from $150 to $200 an hour.
More.
Or more,
depending. I know people that charge
and you don't know,
$275.
right? And oh my goodness, I'm in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's super expensive, and when you suggest it, you're like, oh, yeah, right, I don't have that kind of money. Well, we want to help, and what we've kind of put together is a relationship coaching package where we figure that at the minimum, if you have an incident that you want to talk, not an incident, a situation that you want to talk about, and that could be related to an adult child or anything, and it's a short-term thing, right? Mm-hmm. One session to kind of hear all about it and understand who you are and dynamics behind it. Another session to talk about it and what can be done. And then the third session to follow up, a week or so, a couple of weeks later, whatever, to see, hey, how's it going? Or a month later, who knows? Yeah. And so that would normally cost upwards of $600 to do that. And what we want to do is knock that baby in half and call it relationship coaching from Steve or Julia, mostly Julia. And we would do that for $299 for 3 sessions.
Yeah.
And things. So if you're interested in doing that, send us an email at parentpivotpodcast@gmail.com and address the situation and whatever was coming up. And that way it's affordable to you, because we want to help. And we want to.
Yeah, and really, my thinking about this too is oftentimes we just hold this stuff in, and we don't feel like we have anyone that we can tell people these things to. So, if you just feel like it would be beneficial to dump on someone that was safe, that's great.
Yeah.
Another thing that I have not suggested. I'm sorry, I don't mean this to be a sales pitch at all, but it occurred to me that I've never said this before in the 2 years that we've been doing this. And it's one of the reasons why so often I bring up the issue of pornography and things, is because I have a lot of clients who have been traumatized by infidelity or their spouse being addicted to porn or things like that. And so I have training called, I'm not going to get into all of the acronyms of what they mean, but it's called APSATS training. And So I just wanted to make sure that people know that as well,
Okay.
because what I'm finding too is a lot of these things end up coming up after kids have left home. A lot of things get found out, relationships change. And so there's a lot of stuff that ends up coming up. And so I have had many, many clients with these issues. So
Yep.
I've never talked about that before and brought that up. So I thought maybe that should be something I
Yeah.
actually put out there for all of you.
Yep. No, we're here to help. And I've got some background in that as well, too, for men who
struggle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So back to this issue. So I think what we've covered is humility.
Yep.
Owning your stuff.
Yep.
Getting support.
Don't try to fix it. Patience. There's no timeline to this.
Yeah. And really that's the hardest part of it is there is no formula for it. There is no easy answer for it. And part of the reason why I do suggest getting support is, number one, if you have a group with people that are like you and going through similar things, you're going to hear their stories and you learn from each other and you grow from each other.
It helps to process it and know that you have support there.
Yeah.
Knowing that someone else knows your story, knowing that someone else is supporting you in prayer, that helps us get through the days, the weeks, the months,
right,
and things like that.
And then the other thing is in getting support is it's really just you need someone to zero in on your unique circumstance. So when I say that all circumstances are different, they're all different. And so if you feel like I wish someone could talk to me about just my circumstance, then I would suggest that as well.
Yeah.
Even if it's a pastor at the church or
sure.
A good friend who is a good listener and a wise person. Any of those things would be super duper helpful.
Absolutely. We're here to help. Let us know. Share the podcast with other people. We're going to put everything that we mentioned on this podcast in the show notes. So you have that. And send us email. Send us. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. All at Parent Pivot Podcast. And the email is parentpivotpodcast@gmail.com. So communicate with us as y'all are doing. Let us know how we can speak up on some things. Give us some specifics. We'd love to help y'all walk through that and share this podcast with the people who might be struggling in this situation. Shoot to them in a text message or on Facebook or whatever and things. And we would love to be able to step in and listen with hearts. We're both board certified pastoral counselors, so we can do counseling across state lines virtually. So we've got 49 other states we can meet, and even Greenland. Apparently that might become a state someday. Who knows? We might be talking to people up there in Greenland.
Yeah. And I really want to say that I'm sorry that there is no easy answer. And I'm sorry if you're one of the thousands upon thousands of people who are struggling with this issue and really feel like you have no answers for it. So I wish that.
Yeah, we wish we had more hope to bring to you, but
I know I feel like we're putting things out there,
right.
And please remember, when we started this podcast, our whole goal was to provide support, to let you know that you aren't in this alone, to be raw and honest about our own stuff that we go through. And Steve has told his stories. In fact, maybe you put your podcasts, things that happen with the kids, like Jackson.
Yeah.
Different things in the show notes so that people can go back and listen to those.
Notice how I'm the one making all the mistakes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all.
Okay. Guys, thanks for listening. Thank you for the privilege that we get to have to come and speak love and truth over you and share what's going on and bring you some hope and help you pivot from being that parent to the partner. Sometimes pivots are easy. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're still going on, but we are here to serve. And we love you guys. Thanks for sharing our podcast with everybody. And we'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of the Parent Pivot Podcast. Bye.